Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our new Only Murders in the Building, Season 3, Episode 7 preview. Also, theories upon theories. We are all sitting upon a throne of theories as to who killed Ben Glenroy kind of twice, even though he lived the first time. We have with us to help break it down. We have to complete our trio here for this particular video. And our old pal TV Talks with Tom is back to help us get answers to all of the questions that are on our minds.
That's right. Tom is here with his olds.
Really? Really?
Okay, at least me.
Okay, all right, I'm bald. It works.
No, thank you so much for being here with us, Tom. I mean, if you guys don't know, Tom is really big in the Big Brother world. He's been doing this for years. He's an excellent resource for anything and everything Big Brother. And we're so happy to have him here with us because he also loves Only Murders in the Building as much as we do. Thank you for being here with us.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you for having me. And having said that, with this trio, maybe we should start a podcast, just like the the trio on Only Murders. I think that's a good idea.
Right.
We're all gonna go once all this is done. We're just gonna go start investigating like local crimes together. You can be like the resource in the UK who's just like calling us up. Like, I noticed this on the web. What's the web? The dark. What's the dark web? That's the thing on these shows is they can make up any sort of term. I like to think I'm technologically literate. There we go. I can say the word. And then they'll say this stuff and I'll just be like, what does that mean? They make me feel a lot like Charles and Oliver. Now, here, what we're going to do, we'll set the stage for what's coming up next.
Yep.
And then we're going to really get head first and do all of the theories as to what is going on in this crazy, weird season.
Yeah. Okay. So this next episode 7, is called Cobra. So we know that we're going to be getting some more of Ben. I mean, this is what the synopsis is. I'm going to read it so that I don't, mess it up. Charles finds an unexpected source for a major clue. A Broadway icon, Matthew Broderick. No, it doesn't say that, but that's who it is. Comes knocking at Oliver's door. Mabel forms an alternative trio to pursue a lead that sheds light on Ben's bro and co-bro history. Okay, so who is the icon that's going to be showing up? I truly think it's got to be Matthew Broderick. I know there's theories out there that Matthew Broderick's going to be playing Howard's cousin who works at State Farm, which would be pretty funny. But I think that we're in a position where Oliver needs a lead that has star power. He had Ben. Now he has Jonathan, who doesn't have star power. He needs somebody. So who could he have? Matthew Broderick.
It has to be. It has to be Matthew Broderick. And that's the thing. I think you don't bring Matthew Broderick in to be the cousin from State Farm. It has to be somebody who's, it has to be someone who's big on Broadway, and he fits the bill perfectly.
Yeah.
Now, I will admit to something. I'm not as familiar with Matthew Broderick's stage career as I probably should be. I do know that he has a prolific stage career. I believe my experience with Matthew Broderick on stage comes down to the producers. I am pretty sure Matthew Broderick can belt out a tuner. So here's what I'm sort of wondering, though. Is Matthew Broderick really going to be here for the rest of the season with the way in which that they have not hyped his appearance up? Like, he was in that trailer. He hasn't been in much of anything other than the trailer. Yeah. Is it possible that Oliver says no to Matthew Broderick and is like, I don't want you? Oliver's been losing his mind a past episode or so. Could he actually say no? Or is Matthew Broderick going to be like, your show's a mess. I don't want to put up with this.
What do you think, Tom?
I feel like you said, Oliver maybe going off the deep end, maybe slightly insane recently, and he could end up pushing Matthew Broderick away, which I do not endorse at all. Just to all the viewers right now, I'm just making sure that's clear. I do not endorse that decision. But I think it's very, very possible that he pushes him away. I'm interested to see, like you said, because he hasn't been like plugged or advertised too much as part of season 3, which fascinates me because it's Matthew Broderick, So I'm interested to see if he's actually going to play a big part of the the puzzle piece to figuring out who the murderer is, or if he's just going to be part of the Broadway show.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, the first season they had Sting, and he wasn't really pushed as a huge part of the season. I mean, we had a whole Sting episode.
Season 2, we had Amy Schumer, and I don't think they ever figured out what they were doing with Amy Schumer. But
no,
here's the thing about this synopsis for this episode that intrigues me, and I think certainly intrigues Jess, because she has been on team Ben's bro Dickie being involved and or the co-murderer in all of this. And Ben's bro is put up right on Front Street in the synopsis. Like, clearly this is going to be his time to quote unquote shine.
Yeah.
Is Dickie responsible? Tom, where are you with Dickie?
Dickie is the most interesting part of season 3 for me, because especially after we saw, and I know I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here, but when we saw, Loretta's book with all the pictures in, everyone's kind of going, oh my God, like I've seen online people going, she's the murderer. Meryl Streep is not the murderer. I don't care what anyone says. She's the red herring. She's who they want us to make, like who they want us to believe it's her. Yeah. If you look at all the pictures of Ben Glenroy in that book, Dickie is in the background of almost every single one of them. She is definitely stalking Dickie, not Ben.
Absolutely, 100%. I totally agree. It's Dickie. And my theory, and some other people's theory too, is that she's actually Dickie's birth mom, and that's why she has this scrapbook. And she's been following around Ben's career because Dickie is there as well. That's why when she was just like, oh, sweet Dickie, Ben is so mean to him, I was just like, oh, that's his mom.
Yeah.
And I've seen all the parallels since then as well, when Loretta was singing Look for the Light, which I have streamed on Spotify about 100,000 times already. And I know the way Dickie was looking at Loretta and the way Loretta was looking at Dickie during that performance, that was something I didn't realize until these past couple of weeks. But when I've gone back to watch that scene afterwards, and I'm like, there's a little something there between the two of them. And I think there's a connection that hasn't been fully explored yet, but will be in the last couple of episodes.
Yeah, one of the things that this show seems to have as part of its formula is that whoever is the killer is typically not around as much until a little bit later in the season. And we haven't seen much of Cliff. We haven't seen much of Dickie. Taubert came in a little bit later in the season too. I mean, there's a couple.
Now, here's the thing. There's certainly smoke around Dickie. I am not team Dickie being involved in the murder, but I will admit there is a certain amount of smoke. He's getting a big episode now. I just have a big question. How much does Dickie know right now about Loretta? Like, he has brought Loretta on presumably to be a client of his. Is this because he now knows that Loretta is his biological mother and he wants to help her out, or is it just he needs business and Ben is dead and he's got to find a way to move forward? Like, it is interesting. I'm not going to say suspicious. I'm not. I know this is a big surprise to you, Tom and Jess. I'm not a talent agent. I do not know how this business works, but I just feel like I know. I'm sorry to blindside you like this. I just don't know how you jump back into everything like so quick after losing your brother and effectively your meal ticket in a lot of ways in Ben.
I would say that could be because he's a psychopath who potentially tried to kill Ben Glenroy. I feel like that could be the reasoning behind that. I am convinced that he definitely. I think he knows about Loretta. Because also that would give motive as well. To why because we've seen the fight between Ben and Loretta now. Maybe Dickie got wind of that and found out, and then he thought, don't mess with my mother. And then because the relationship between Ben and Dickie doesn't seem good, but I can only assume he just feels very protective over what he's found out is his birth mother potentially, and therefore that was the final straw. And then I've seen a lot of people talking about the cookies from the first episode, and how he may have poisoned those ahead of the live show. So I think that's what could have happened if he found out about the fight just before the show.
This is a question I'm curious about, Tom, because when we first saw the episode where Ben was talking in his dressing room in that Tauber message, and it was just like, "You're so bad," and we did not think it was. We didn't think he was talking to the cookies, and then like every YouTube commenter known to mankind was just like, "He's talking to the cookies." Where do you stand on Cookie Gate?
Okay, at first I thought it was incredibly bad adult film acting from Ben there, looking at those cookies. But then like as time's gone on, and when we saw Ben in the first couple episodes, we saw how unhinged he was and how kind of crazy the way he talks to people, and he's got a massive lack of self-awareness. So I have no doubt that he would talk to a plate of cookies in that manner. I think that could potentially be possible, and definitely a viable option.
I had originally thought that it was Loretta he was talking to, because it feels pretty obvious that while she didn't kill him, she did write on the mirror with lipstick, and that it was her that did that. So she was in that room. So it's possible that they ended up in this fight. This is sort of the timeline going. Okay, they ended up in this fight. Charles saw, punched him. Ben went to KT's office because we saw in this last episode that her door was shut. There was heard sort of a bit of arguing. I think he went in there and was like, "Loretta's got to go. Like, this just happened. Charles also has to go. He just punched me in my face. Like, this is how it's going." And then because Taubert is, the documentarian, he's following him around. I don't believe for a second the story that Taubert told, that he was like, "Ben grabbed my camera and it was still rolling and he just took it back to the." That's not true. That's so not true. I think that then they went back to his dressing room, and that Loretta was in there as well. He may have been talking to the cookies. He may not have been, because when he was like, "Oh, you're bad, but you act like you're so sweet," he later at that party went up to her and was like, "You're a snake." Where he was talking to everyone else, "Oh, I did this to you, and I was really wronged you. You, Loretta, though, you act like you're sweet, but you're really a snake." So I was just kind of like, okay, if she was in that dressing room to write that, then he may have been talking to her, that she may have come around to be like, "You know what? We're about to go on stage. I got to fix this before we go on stage." Goes in, they have this conversation. He walks out and she writes that on the mirror.
I think Loretta's definitely an option there. And the thing that fascinates me about Loretta is the whole season so far, it feels like there's more to her than we actually know. And it feels, we're all rooting for her because it's Meryl Streep and she's a goddess. But they talk about the lack of her past, that we don't know much about it. And I feel like especially in the episode where, they were talking about how Oliver was saying, "What do you think you could have done to have been cursed?" There's something dark about her past, and for her to not get a break for that long in Broadway, I don't know. It feels like there's so many missing pieces there to her timeline that are going to unravel probably, and I would assume in the last episode of the season. But there's definitely so much more darkness to Loretta than I think we realize, and even though Ben was a total douchebag, he probably actually had some viability there when he looked at Loretta and said, "It takes one to know one." Because while I don't trust Ben's judgment very much, it seems like all fingers are pointing towards Loretta having a darker past than we actually know.
Mm-hmm.
Here is the craziest thing about maybe this season and this entire show to me. And I don't know if this speaks to anybody who's really working on this show, but there's a real message here of when you have feelings for someone, when you love someone, you don't see sometimes the biggest flaws that are right in front of you. Season 1, Charles, Jan, very big part of that. Mm-hmm. If we are in a situation where Loretta has a temper, and because that has been thrown out there, whether or not what Jerry Blau said in this past episode is true or not, we don't know. But if there is some sort of darkness there for Loretta, Oliver's obviously not going to be the person who saw it. And your feelings about Taubert being a co-conspirator in all of this have been laid out. And Mabel, if he is involved, Mabel is not seeing it, because I think Mabel is so sad that her olds are not there to help her, and she needs help. And here is Taubert coming in with his ruggishly handsome demeanor and mysterious mystery solving skills, and he's just able to lend that shoulder and be that helping hand. What? That's okay. I don't even think Taubert's involved in that, but I do think Taubert has some sort of a dark secret.
Oh, he absolutely does. His hands are dirty. Like he at the very, very least, I do think he's one of the killers with Dickie, but at the very, very least, he has documented Ben doing all these terrible things and being terrible to all these different people. He told that story about the elephant, the baby elephant sinking into the mud, and that he just continued to, film it because that's his job, that it's possible that he's been filming all this stuff about Ben and watching Ben be terrible to everybody, and he just couldn't take it anymore. It was just like, you know what? The world would be better off. Plus, then if he's dead, my documentary makes tons of money.
That is
definitely
true.
That's enough for a motive. Like that's enough for anyone to have a motive. If you constantly see this behavior time and time again, and he also feels, because for Taubert, he's not in the spotlight, it's Ben who's in the spotlight this entire time, so he's seeing all this bad behavior from Ben, but then he realizes all of a sudden, hold up, if I do something here, I can be in the spotlight, and also the world's a better place because this person isn't here anymore doing all these bad things. I think that is 100% motive.
Okay, Tom, it's time. This is okay. We are shining the light in the metaphorical, I don't know, private eye office on you now. Who killed Ben Glenroy? We need answers.
Okay, I've struggled to put together. I think it's two. That's for sure. That's my one certainty. That's the only certainty I have. Because there's so many suspects. It's hard for me to go, oh, it's these two together. It's these two, because there's so many combinations you can make of it's these two. It's these two.
Yeah,
it's not just one. That's what I know for sure. I feel like that would be the biggest shock for me at the end of the season if they said it was one person who tried to get him on the stage and down the elevator shaft. That would be the biggest shock of all. It's definitely not Meryl Streep. Well, I'm 99% convinced it's not Meryl Streep. It's some kind of combo of Dickie, Taubert, and Cliff. I think it's going to be two of the three of those. Cliff's an interesting one because I feel like it's very fascinating that the writers decided to have two producers rather than one. They could have easily gone with that route with just one producer as Donna, but they decided to throw in that very, very strange mother and son dynamic between the two of them. That doesn't at all make anyone feel uncomfortable when they're on screen together, and it's so weird. So weird. I don't know. It's so odd, I feel like there's got to be something to that, and the fact we've only seen that explode in the first couple episodes, that's going to come back around, and there's got to be a reason why the writers decided to put both of them in as producers rather than just one. So I think there's going to be more we learn about Cliff. As for Dickie, I think we, of course, I feel like we got the Loretta bomb with him definitely being related to her. I would say personally, I think Dickie is the one that's out of the three. Definitely, possibly could have done it, but he's the least likely, I'm going to say, out of the three. If I had to decide on two, it would be Taubert and Cliff. I don't think they had any affiliation though either. I don't think they plotted together. I think it was two separate opportunities of both of them trying to take off the head of Ben Glenroy, and it just so happened that whoever did it second was the one to get it. So yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to fully go, oh, okay, this is why this person did that. But I think Cliff is one, and I think Taubert's one. Potentially Dickie. Come back to me in 3 weeks' time, and maybe I'll give you a more solid answer when we know the murderer. But I don't know. I feel like definitely a combo: Taubert, Dickie, Cliff. And I apologize that I can't be any more solid than that. But I also love the fact that I can't be more solid because it just keeps you guessing every single week, and I love that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't think that it's two people plotted together. I think it's one person tried to not poison him. We think that he had an allergy to something that was in the cookies, and that whoever gave him the cookies knew about that allergy and gave it to him, because he was like, oh, my talk screen came back clean. So, they think it was something I ate, and I, was dead for an hour or whatever it was, right? That I think that then the second person at the actual apartment knew that had happened at the theater and was like, oh, well, if somebody already tried to kill them, maybe Dickie at the theater, that then Taubert, who filmed everything, was like, you know what? I have footage that it's probably Dickie that did this, so I can push him down the elevator shaft because I have footage that it's somebody else, and he just took the opportunity.
Now, I will welcome you, Tom, first and foremost, to Cliff's Corner, where we have our tinfoil hats constantly at the ready when it comes to Cliff. See, it's weird because I feel like not only in this video, but in a lot of the internet, I'm kind of on a one murderer island for this season, because a lot of people think it is too, and I am still stuck on Cliff, despite the fact that, one, I really do not have any specific motive, as there's no motive established on the show, really.
That's the thing about Cliff. If Cliff turns out to be the murderer, and we're going into episode 7, we've seen him so little. There's been no clues that are really threading him in with everything. And I mean, even with Poppy last season, spoiler alert, she was in that first episode at the Arconia, has no business being there. She doesn't live there. She doesn't know anybody there. She had no business being there, but she was there when the trio was getting, pulled out of the building. It was just like, why are you here? And there really hasn't been that with Cliff yet. If we're going into episode 7 and there's still nothing coming up, and you're just going to give us like 3 or 4 episodes of, oh, by the way, it's Cliff. It's like, well, where was that?
They're hiding it. They want us to not suspect.
But the show has been so good in the past at giving us enough clues that we can actually figure it out.
I think it's coming. I think there's something between Cliff and Ben that we do not know right now. It's already been established. Ben has his secrets. Cliff is going to be very hurt by some of these. He's also a producer. He wants to get his name out there. I don't know why. I just want to believe that whatever's going on with him and his mom is just some sort of like cover, and he's just playing along with it to make people not take him seriously for whatever reason. I would not make that choice to do that, but I just feel like there's something else going on there. I think he is young. I think he's probably not experienced in the game of killing other people, which I guess good on you, Cliff, for that anyway, but he does not. He fails. Yeah, there's no clap to you, Cliff. He fails at his first attempt to this, whether it is a crime of heartbreak, whether it is a crime of trying to get the place shut down so he can get insurance money, like whatever it is. And then he's just like, I got to correct this wrong. This is the big party at the Arconia. And he gets really reckless. But regardless, I mean, Jess and I talked a little bit about this, but Tom, why do you think we're not seeing enough of the Arconia investigation? Like, that's where he actually died.
Yeah, that's that is kind of sad. I mean, like, I've loved season 3. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
but I want to see more of the Arconia. And I never like to say anything bad about Only Murders, because I think it's a fantastic show. But it's Only Murders in the building, not in the in Only Murders in Broadway. Which I do love the theme this season. But come on, show us a bit more of the Arconia. I think we will get more of it towards the end, because as we explore more about, because there's been so much exploration of the stage and what happened behind the scenes there. I have to believe that there's going to be some more talk of the elevator and everything like that as the season closes off. And at least I hope that's the case. And I think that is going to happen when we see, like, probably more like what Matt said about Cliff, and we see that Cliff's motive maybe a bit more, or why he may have a motive at least. Things always end up wrapping up. And I think the thing with Only Murders is, just when you think, oh my God, they're not going to do this in time, they somehow managed to, perfectly time everything out at the end where it doesn't feel too rushed or anything like that. And even in the last episode, you find yourself going, oh, they were the killer all along. And then all of a sudden there's that final plot twist where they're like, oh, wait, so it wasn't that person? It's this person, So I think they've got to win. I have faith, even though I have my doubts at times. I really do have faith. And I think the writing on the show is always wonderful. And I think they'll close it off perfectly.
Tom, do you think the trio is going to get back together?
We need this.
Come on, there's money to be made on season 4. Of course they're going to get back. I know that sounds bad as the reason why, but no, it's true. I think I think that's why they're going to get back together. And plus, it's just to throw a little bit of a dilemma in the works in the middle of the season to go, oh my God, Mabel doesn't want to be with the olds anymore. She's probably going to go to Cinder next week for a little bit, but then she'll realize, Cinder's nowhere near as good as the olds, and then she'll go right back to them.
Yeah, my sort of theory about hers, because she has been like, she only has 4 weeks, she's gonna have to leave her auntie's apartment and find something else, and she doesn't have any sort of stability in work right now, is I really think that the podcast, with Cinda's help, is going to end up really blowing up. She's going to make a ton of money, and she's going to be able to take on Sting's apartment.
I would want to live in that apartment. Let's just say
iconic. I would love that as well.
Yeah, that apartment just needs Mabel.
It does need Mabel. And if I was living there, I would make sure I referred to it as Sting's apartment, not Amy Schumer's apartment, because I just don't like to. Let's not talk about that. Yeah. Sting's apartment definitely superior.
I would just wander around with the shirt. I live in Sting's apartment. What a flex! That is the biggest flex you could make. No, okay, we have just a few episodes to go. I really hope they stick this landing. Whether it's Mabel lives in that apartment, whether it is we have 2 killers, like this is one of those shows where everybody online has too much of an obsession with being right. Like I hope I'm wrong, and I hope I'm wrong spectacularly in a way where I do not see it coming at all. Like we don't get surprised enough in life.
It's so true. I was so wrong last season. I was dying on the hill that Charles's father was alive and that he was going to pop back up and be like Clint Eastwood or somebody like really iconic, like badass.
Charles, I'm back from the dead. You thought you'd seen the last of me.
What an L I took. Oh my God.
It's fine. Well, we will. All right, we'll start to wind this down. But Tom, thank you for your insight, your input. TV Talks with Tom on YouTube. If you love Big Brother, if you love fresh takes, Tom has got you covered.
Absolutely. We're going to put a link to his YouTube channel below, and we hope that you guys go check it out and subscribe to his channel.
Thank you, guys. And honestly, it's been so wonderful chatting with you both again. And I appreciate being invited back. And would love to do it again if we get a season 4. That would be wonderful.
Absolutely.
Also, my favorite moment of today, Matt's Clint Eastwood impression. That was that was something I didn't expect to see, but I am not disappointed at all.
My Clint Eastwood impression is basically a derivative of my Memphis impression from Big Brother All Stars. It's basically the same thing. I have like a certain like stock list of impressions, and I can't deviate too far from them. All right, no, Tom, thank you so much. Thank you guys out there for watching so much. We look forward to reading the comments, and we will see you here next time.